Good evening. Welcome to the Pullman City Council meeting for this Tuesday, March the 14th. Nice to have you here. And Dee, would you please call roll?
Mayor Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Benjamin.
Present.
Councilmember Dubin.
Here.
Councilmember Guido.
Here.
Councilmember McCall.
Here.
Councilmember Parks.
Here.
Councilmember Weller.
Present.
Councilmember Wright.
Here.
Under announcements tonight, we have two commissions that are currently accepting applications, the Civil Service Commission and the Arts Commission. If you're interested, you can just go to our website and take a look at how to apply. Street sweeping is getting closer because it's almost spring, we believe. We're certainly hoping that. So you'll start seeing our street sweepers out there to get rid of some of the gravel, and we also encourage you to take a look at your sidewalks out in front. If you've got some gravel on the sidewalks, sweep it into the streets. It's also time to get rid of your debris that might be on the sidewalks as well, and the street sweepers will pick it up. City's first e-newsletter distributed this month. Make sure you're staying in touch with what's going on in Pullman. You can just go to our website and /subscribe. And you can also, there's a how to do it section. You could also subscribe that way as well. A couple of Easter egg hunts are coming up. One's underwater, so we're assuming that's going to be at the Aquatic Center, which is a good way to do it. On April 7th from 5 until 8 o'clock, you can call Parks and Recreation to register for that particular event. And registration is required, cost is $6 per person. Also, on the 62nd annual egg hunt, which is also in cooperation with Kiwanis, they've been doing for 62nd years all the time, at Krugel Park, April 8th, 10 a.m. And you can thank the Parks and Recreation Commission, the Aquatic Center, and the staff for doing that, along with the Kiwanis Club. And it's probably the fastest egg hunt in history. If it lasts more than 40 seconds in certain areas, it's good. It's fun. The Aquatic Center is currently closed for the annual cleaning. The facility will reopen on March 20th. That's next week. There's a chance for you to vote on what 4 movies are going to be shown this summer during these movies in the park at Rainy Park. So there's 3 days left. You can go online, Facebook, or Instagram. And voting closes March 17th at 3 o'clock. The winning movies will be announced late April. And also WSU accounting students will be providing free federal tax preparation assistance at Neal Public Library from noon until 4 o'clock. The following days, March 25th through April 1st, and also on April 8th, all students are IRS certified. You can contact our library director, Dan Owens, if you have any questions. On a personal note, I want to thank the Pullman Fire Department and Life Flight and a number of other people, and for a lot of reach out to Kathy and I, because I had to put my wife on Life Flight last Thursday. Just came home today from Swedish Hospital over in Seattle, and for the first time in about 4 weeks, she does not have a headache. They found out they had some real issues there that was interesting, but I do want to thank the intervention by the emergency department at Pullman Regional Hospital. We have a lot. We talk about it all the time. We talk about it as our gym in the community. And boy, that emergency department was busy when we were there, but they made all the arrangements for Life Flight. And if you are not a member of Life Flight, all I can say is this is the second time we've used Life Flight. And insurance covers it, but what's not covered, that $60 membership will take care of the rest. And let me tell you, it's the best $60 you will ever spend in your life. With that, we move now to confirmation of appointments. Motion to confirm the appointment to the Washington State Insurance Pool Board of Directors. We have here is Wayne Thompson, who's our transit manager. The alternate is Jeff Albrecht, our finance director. And this has to go through for council action, so that's the motion we'd like to have.
Moved.
Second.
Moved and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So Wayne and Jeff is the backup. Presentation of the lodging tax tourism professional services metric, something the council has asked for. And so with that, we go to Mike Urban.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council. At your last meeting, the tourism promoting activities contract with the Pullman Chamber of Commerce was approved, and there was a lot of discussion about metrics. And as per the contract in section 15, the standard of care, that the monitoring of the performance of the contract would fall under the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee with at least quarterly reports to the Pullman City Council. So the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee met today, and this was on their agenda, so I wanted to turn things over to the LTAC Chair and Council Member Pat Wright to fill council in on some of the discussion and where things were going on that.
Thank you, Mike. And, you know, as all of you are aware, I am also on Chamber Board of Directors, as well as being the chairperson for the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission. And so because of that, I felt that it was not appropriate for me to offer any comments or enter into any discussion on the action that we took at the last council meeting regarding the approval of the services contract with the Pullman Chamber. However, in follow-up to that, I would like to let everyone on council know, especially those who had some concerns about how we would measure the performance outlined in the contract. And we have already had one meeting today, and we'll be in the process of scheduling a few more as we put our group together, which would include representation from council, from city staff, from the chamber, as well as representatives who serve on the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission. And we have already identified the direction that we need to go, lining out the what we want to accomplish in the first year, which we're going to call a pilot year, and then putting into motion those items for measurement in the following 2 years. And as I say, we've kind of hit the ground running on that, and we will have our first meeting with that sub-work group on April the 4th. And so that group will coordinate closely with LTAC, and I think we will be able to put together a plan that will be workable and executable and will hold everyone accountable for what that tourism department is going to be doing for us. So I didn't want to take a lot of time. I just wanted to assure everyone that we were not working on this in a vacuum. We had already taken into account a lot of the issues, and so we're already starting to work on that. So I would be happy to answer any questions, but again, I just wanted to offer a follow-up to that.
Any questions? Thank you very much for the update. Appreciate that. Next item on the agenda is public comment. This is for people who would like to make a comment on a final action the council is taking tonight. Now, there's a couple of things that are coming up from R.J. Lott that have already had a public hearing, so we can't take any testimony on anything that's had a public hearing from the Planning Commission. So that'd be items 2, 3, 4, and 5 that are on your agenda. Is there anything else that's on the agenda that is a final action that someone would like to make any comment on? Then, seeing none, we will close that period. Move to the consent agenda. These are items considered routine in nature. Do I hear a motion to read by title only?
Second.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Thad O'Sullivan, our city attorney.
Thank you. The first item is a motion to dispense a reading of the minutes of February 28th, 2023, and approve them as submitted. Second item is a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 109-574 through 109-583, electronic transfers 99, 100, and 976 through 980. Payroll direct deposits numbered 83249 through 83598, totaling $999,618.41. Third item is a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 109-584 through 109-685, totaling $2,319,640.99. Number 4 is a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks numbered 109-686 through 109-738, totaling $415,534.95. Item 5, a motion to approve disbursements for electronic transfer 225-2023, totaling $58,106.65. 6, an item to renew the Whitman County Humane Society contract for 2023. Item 7, resolution number R-8-23, a resolution accepting a waterline easement granted by Columbia State Bank authorizing the execution of said easement and providing for other matters properly related thereto. Item 8, resolution number R-9-23, a resolution releasing a portion of a waterline easement previously granted by Pullman School District number 267, authorizing the execution of said partial release of easement and providing for other matters properly related thereto. Item 9, resolution number R-10-23, a resolution accepting a waterline easement granted by Pullman School District number 267, authorizing the execution of said easement and providing for other matters properly related thereto. And finally, item 10, resolution number R-11-23, a resolution authorizing the mayor and the finance and administrative services director to execute a local agency agreement, supplement number 1, and an updated project prospectus for the arterial streets resurfacing 2023 project.
Any item the council would like to offer discussion?
Item number 6.
Item number 6. Any others? Then the consent agenda consists of items 1 through 5 and 7 through 10. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Second.
Moving second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, item number 6, Megan.
So I just wanted to pull this out. The Whitman County Humane Society contract, one of our providers of services that the contracts with, just like we're doing with, the recent award of the contract to the chamber, and I was a proponent of this, that I would like to have a sense of how that service is being provided and whether that's metrics, but at the very least, I would like to see that representative of the Humane Society come before the council to provide a report on a somewhat regular basis, or at least yearly, to let us know how things are going. Obviously, the Whitman County Humane Society has been in the news. Not really interested in the politics of the board, but I am more interested in knowing how the contract is playing out and the service that they're providing.
Okay. Nathan.
Yeah, I do agree with Megan. There's they're in a state of rebuilding, and it may take a little bit, I would say, for reports. I know they are having, and Mayor Johnson was there as well at the Humane Society fundraiser. I do think it is important during this, time of transition for us also to be very supportive of, them moving forward. So
I was really encouraged to see what they're come up with,
Yeah.
considering what the politics were a number of months ago, and the fact that they've got a board that's all working together now, and they've got some things going and doing the best they can out there at the shelter. So it was encouraging, and we had a number of the people on this that were there, so it was really nice. Yeah, Eileen.
I do believe it says that the contractor shall provide the city with quarterly performance report that includes the following, and then there are several items here.
Yeah.
So I do believe that there is a clause in here that takes care of a lot of that, and I'd be happy to hear from them.
So would I. Okay. Would you address the motion that's here, or do you want to do that?
Yeah, that would be great. It's good to see that it's built in, that we'll receive regular reports.
Okay. So would you make the motion then?
I make the motion to renew the Wayne County Humane Society contract for 2023.
Second.
All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, we now move to the regular agenda. First is a public hearing to consider creation of a transportation benefit district for the city of Pullman, something that's been discussed a number of times. And with the latest update on that, Mike Urban, our city administrator.
It's up there, it's working. I think we got it. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening again, council. So tonight's public hearing is on consideration to create a transportation benefit district in the city of Pullman. That's directly related to, number one, city council goals and priorities that were established for 22 and 23, as well as coming out of our 2021 pavement status presentation. And outside of that, the funding status of our streets fund, as has been discussed several times, especially during the budget process. So specifically, the public hearing is to create a transportation benefit district without a funding source at this time. So it's really just the concept of the district. And with that, I got a short PowerPoint presentation to go through. It'll look very similar to those folks that were here the last time I did it. What you will notice between this PowerPoint and the last one is any changes will either be in bold if they're new or strike out on the old items, so you can kind of play along. The last piece is, as we're going along, I'm going to start using the acronym TBD instead of Transportation Benefit District for the benefit of everybody's time. That is the shorthand version of that. So I'm just going to jump into this and keep going until somebody stops me with a question or that. So if I happen to be looking down, just clear your throat and I'll be right there. So first and foremost, the Transportation Benefit District intent. This one's really important, so this is the only slide I'm going to read from front to top to bottom, but it is the intent of the legislature to encourage joint efforts by the state, local governments, and the private sector to respond to the need for those transportation improvements on state highways, county roads, and city streets. This goal can be better achieved by allowing cities, towns, and counties to establish transportation benefit districts in order to respond to the special transportation needs and economic opportunities resulting from private sector development for the public good. The legislature also seeks to facilitate the equitable participation of private developers whose development may generate the need for those improvements and the improvement costs. So this is by RCW, and I've cited the RCW on this one now, and that's one of the new pieces. So what is a transportation improvement defined? This again also is governed by that RCW. And it just means a project contained in the transportation plan of the state, a regional transportation planning organization, city, county, or eligible jurisdiction as identified in this RCW. So we'll do a little bit deeper dive on that here in about 2 slides, but there is an actual definition of it. But again, the definition is fairly open to interpretation as long as there's a nexus in transportation. So, jurisdiction and general powers. The legislative body has the authority to establish a transportation benefit district within the jurisdiction, so that falls to the city council to be able to do that. Transportation benefit district, I said I was going to start acronyms, I didn't. Boundaries need not include all areas within the jurisdiction. However, there's new legislation in 2022 that may be worth discussing as to why the council might want to take all the areas, and that's about 4 slides from now, so I'll jump into that. The members of the legislative authority would serve as the governing body of the TBD, and ultimately, the way that shakes down, it's a quasi-municipal corporation, very similar to the Metro Parks District that we've been running with, so that you're all used to. The TBD has the ability to impose fees, and I got a couple slides on those. I'm just going to go over them briefly when we get to the end, since really the nexus of this conversation is just the establishment of the district, not for the fees yet. So, from 2 slides ago, improvement criteria. Transportation improvements shall be administered and maintained as other public streets, roads, highway, and transportation improvements. So if it has to do with the transportation system, it's eligible to be part of this item. So when deciding which items would fall under the TBD for funding, they do like us to consider some items, first and foremost. Safety, travel time, air quality, trip capacities, connectivity, mobility, especially freight mobility, improved access for persons with special transportation needs, and of course, item J, that other criteria is adopted. So establishment.
Mike?
Sure.
This is probably reaching way too far, but establishing this TBD, should a section of roadway fall into LOS F Would this, could this possibly help us mitigate some of that?
So the TD, as it would be established, would be to help zero in on projects that need to be done, which we already do administratively, but it also gives the opportunity to the legislative authority to find additional funding to do some of these things. And on top of that, we have been in contact several times with folks at the state and the feds when we're applying for grants and items, and usually one of the first things they ask is, have you established a transportation benefit district? So this would kind of help check that point off as well.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. All right. Establishment. So kind of the purpose of why we're here tonight is to establish a transportation benefit district. There does need to be a public hearing held by the city council to listen to people for and against this item, and this is the agenda item for that tonight. After the public hearing, the legislative authority must adopt an ordinance establishing the boundaries, purpose, function, and activities of the TBD. So after the public hearing, I will be back to ask for additional guidance to see where we want to go on that. So, to go over funding sources very quickly, the first offer for funding, vehicle license fees. So the legislative authority can authorize $20 without voter approval on licenses that are in this zip code. Up to $40 without voter approval if that $20 fee has been on the books for 2 years, 24 months. And then another $10 after that if the $40 fee has been on there for another 24 months. And then up to $100 with voter approval, just by a simple majority. But any fees over $40 would be subject to referendum for the ability to do that. Now, originally when I presented this, I was asked to go find out about how much money that would raise in the area. And we did a public records request with the Department of Licensing for all the licenses registered to our zip code. And after 10 months of we need more time, we cannot fulfill your request. So staff and I talked it over, and the best estimate we can come up with right now is somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000 a year. Okay, the next source, and there's changes on this, is sales and use tax. So the first change is now there is 0.1% that can be instituted on sales tax by the legislative authority for up to 10 years. If all the territory within the boundary of the jurisdiction is included in the TBD. So this is what I was referring to 4 slides ago. So if our entire border of the city, if there was only we're only going to institute the TBD in this area, that authority goes away. So it would have to be the entire jurisdiction to be able to do the 0.1% legislatively. An additional 0.2% can be added to that with voter approval. And that too is a 10-year deal before it has to come back and renew. But one of the new changes as well is the number of renewals used to be limited. Now they're indefinite as long as you're bringing it back and renewing it in the proper fashion. Francis.
Question on the use tax. Are there any areas where we're exempting use tax, and then this would this be then applied to those where there's exemptions?
I'm not aware of any use tax that we're exempting locally.
Okay, that's,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Okay, pulled a quick one on you. On the last presentation, this used to be part of another slide, and when I put it in your agenda packet, it was farther back. It was the second to last one, but as I was reviewing this today, it made more sense to move it up. So if you're following along at home, second to last slide, I've moved it up to this point right now. And this is just a quick down and dirty as to what 0.1% would look like historically versus an additional 0.2% versus what would 0.3 like if we would have had the normal collections since 2017. I put an asterisk next to 2021 because I based that number on the actual collections that came in, but I just wanted to remind council that in future presentations, when we're talking about 2021 sales tax, don't forget we had $600,000 we had to refund of sales tax to ours, so you might see something different, but we wouldn't have had to refund this if that would have happened. So I included it in the full aggregation. Okay. Other funding sources. General obligation bonds are still an opportunity out there, and there's still only one attempt at that in the state so far. Border area fuel tax, this is international borders, not state to state, so we're talking about Point Roberts and Blaine and those groups right up there. So that would not be applicable as well. Impact fees. Vehicle tolls, but those must be authorized by the state if imposed on state routes like Grand, Maine, Paradise. We can do an excess property tax levy for 1 year at a time. Local improvement district. And those are the funding mechanisms for a transportation benefit district. One of the other items that a TBD needs to do is opt a material change policy. So along with addressing the financial issues affecting planned delivery, issues of cost and scope and schedule must also be outlined. At the very minimum, the policy must require the governing body to hold public hearing if the revised costs exceed original estimate by more than 20% of projects. Budgeting, very similar. I'm going to lean into Metro Parks here a little bit. As such, we would recommend a very similar setup to that. We would treat the group as a separate item and have the city perform the work on behalf of the TBD, and then just move into more, one of the things we've talked about is staffing level right now. Certainly we would like some council feedback, is maybe moving Metro and TBD into quarterly meetings at a very minimum, even if there isn't anything, instead of just doing it only at budget time. But there is budgeting that is involved, as well as annual reporting. Again, similar to the Metro Parks, but TBD has an extra set of reporting requirements by RCW. Issue a separate annual report detailing the district revenues, expenditures, project statuses, and including cost schedules. And the report must be distributed to the public as well as a newspaper record. There is an opportunity for dissolution of the TBD. This is particularly designed for project-specific TBDs. That's why you see when the project's over in 30 days, ways to do this. And I believe the intent of the city council, when we've been discussing this in the past, is there's projects that are recurring. So take, for instance, paving. You know, you pave around town, and by the time you're done, you get back to square one. So just want to point out there is a way to dissolve this through some mechanisms, but the way that the TBD would probably be recommended to set up would be there'd be ongoing projects every year. This is the last time this particular graphic is available because MRSC took it off their website. But it's just a quick shot of the all the state, across the state, all the cities that have enacted a TBD, including in our neck of the wood, Clarkston, and to the far upper, Point Roberts has one, and as well as Friday Harbor. So a few changes here since last time we talked. There's now 112 TBDs as of the end of last year. 6 are now formed but unfunded. You can see the ones that have come off because they've taken that 1/10 of 1% that they're available to do. So they're, Woodland and Auburn are now funded. Edgewood joined this group because they repealed their license tab fees. So they're looking at what to do next. So now 13 have license fees and voter-approved sales tax because seven of those 8 utilize the new legislative authority to add the 1/10 of 1%. So that group has grown. 52 have voted sales tax funding, but only one, because it's so new, has the full 0.3% right now. And overall, 9 groups enacted that 1/10 of 1% authority. And my last slide here is just a callback to the pavement study, where they went through the quality and how that would pan out. So I did link to the full presentation in my agenda item so you can see the full, but I wanted to, just as a reminder to council on this, and just the fact too that these were 2021 pre-inflation numbers. So you can see where those are going. We should probably do an update on that with our consultant. So that concludes my staff presentation. I'll be back to the podium after the public hearing to answer any questions or any necessary clarifications. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. At this time, we open a public hearing for any comments you would like to make for or against an idea of having a transportation benefit district in the city of Pullman. If you would like to make a comment, we'd appreciate you would give your name and your address, and you have 3 minutes. And we're actually going to have a timer here for that too as well. So anybody who would like to make any public comment regarding a transportation improvement district? Going once? Twice? I close the public hearing. So much for the timer. We actually worked it out as already.
Glad I forgot it. So that's my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but staff is looking for some direction as to what's next.
Okay, Pat, you have the floor.
So I have a few questions. Like, first up, this is something that would go on the ballot should we decide to go in this direction.
No.
I thought I read that.
The instituting a 0.2% sales tax up to that extra 0.2 would, but to institute the transportation
okay.
benefit district, it would be a legislative, it would be passing an ordinance.
Okay, all right. I was confused that, and then that led to my other question about it's a 10-year period of time, and is that almost like an M&O kind of thing? It's not applicable to new projects, only repairing existing? No?
No, it'd be open to a project that the TBD would want to do as long as we prepared the ordinance properly to give the flexibility to the TBD to add future projects. So for instance, if we wanted to say that the TBD is established to assure that repaving of roads continues and bringing them up to pace, as well as looking at transit operations, that's one way to present it, versus the TBD is being established to buy 2 electric buses before 2024. And once that would happen, there is no marching orders for the TBD. So that would have to kind of bring that TBD to a halt.
Got it.
So the way, a lot like Metro Parks, where you're collecting these dollars and then there's projects, by leaving it open during the discussion, we could say, here are the projects we're suggesting this year, and we would use the CI process since that's already in there, and say, here are some additional funds identified for those. What does the legislative authority think?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So tonight, you're basically looking for a council opinion as to whether they would like to form a TB. Yeah, I keep wanting to say, to be determined is also TBD.
Well, it is,
But,
actually.
yeah,
That's for several of my staffers today as well.
but, and then also they could decide later on how they want to do the funding, correct?
Right, this would just
Would
be
have to come back in an
establishment.
ordinance form for the council to take action, but right now, you're just looking for opinion from the council.
Yep.
So
Next
Nathan
step.
will go for your opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, Mike, I really appreciate you taking your time to look, and staff's time to look at how many registered cars here locally. I know that was one thing that I had requested that was pretty above and beyond, and you did it, and I appreciate that.
I tried so hard with them, I really did.
I understand. I'm not sure if the rest of the council remembers, one of my concerns is that, sales tax, of course, being what it is with Moscow versus Pullman, I had some concern about that. However, looking around town and, of course, the idea of looking at a needs-based assessment for roads and walkways, this is been front of my mind. I think especially for the quality of life for Pullman, a TBD is important. And, you know, a lot of people come here for that quality of life, not only university or Schweitzer or others, but keeping that up, and especially walking the streets, driving the streets, that's extremely important. So I appreciate you going above and beyond, and staff as well, so.
Thank you.
So to make this clear, I realize we've thrown around a lot of jargon, and I'm guilty of that. So this is basically establishing the toolbox, but there's no tools in it at the present time.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Okay?
Yeah,
Like I say, trying to get away from the jargon. Sorry about that, yes.
sure. No, that's my world. I wanted to make sure there are no tools in it.
Or at least had pictures of tools.
Okay, all right, like a Christmas thing, you know?
Here's you should get, okay.
Okay.
All right, well, Megan, I think you had your hand up first? Okay. and then-
Well, to me, this is just basic infrastructure, and our many roads in Pullman need some help and support, and to me, that's what being a good citizen is supporting that when it needs to be taken care of. Whether you call it quality of life or infrastructure, it's something that makes a good city and reflects on us, and, you know, if our roads don't look good, we don't look good. So I think we have to come up with a mechanism to do it.
Sure, and as we were going along through this, our revenue continued to grow. The problem is the cost of inputs. Specifically, we're looking at $70 a ton for asphalt when we started the downtown project discussion, and Welch Comer's opening bids at $175. So that's a little more than the average inflation. So that's kind of what we're seeing is the project gaps.
Okay, Ann?
Thank you. I agree with Megan, and I think it's important to delineate and separate out a fund for our transportation needs, given the condition of our roads and the breadth of work that needs to be done and will continue to need to be done. So I support this.
Francis?
Thank you. I think this is the first step that we need to go as with forming the transportation district. The second piece, though, I'd like to, and I assume this is where you would go, is for staff to actually, because, you know, if you look at if you look at the chart, 1% doesn't keep us where we're at. We're still falling behind I mean, the 0.1%. Sorry, not 1%. And so it would be nice to know staff's recommendations of what are the project priorities that you see come back to council, so we can look at those project priorities and identify if we're actually going to be looking at going forward with actually funding it, then be able to communicate to the community, this is the specific project this is going to be used for, so they can see a direct correlation of it, as opposed to we're just gathering more taxes.
Sure, and I think the way we would do that is use our existing CIP process, bring the Transportation Benefit District Board into part of that discussion as well, where we can say, here is the part in the report that we're going to ask TBD. There's no shortage of projects out there. No shortage. I don't think we're ever going to be full circle again. Boy, I'd love to be. That'd make me the happiest guy around. But as we're developing these things too, we're trying to get those year 4, year 5, year 6 projects. So as they move forward, from your side forward, then these things will become more and more noticed. And yeah, actually calling them out in the CIP as part and having the TBD board approve that as a legit, absolutely.
I agree with everyone else. This is really important, and thank you so much for a great presentation.
Okay. So I could put together a draft ordinance for council discussion and possible action by the end of April. Is that too soon, or is, okay, I only gave you one option on that for a reason. Thank you. All right, staff will work on that, and we'll see you next month with a draft proposal.
All right, we now move to the regular agenda. First item is an ordinance, amending the ordinance. It's budget time. And it's time to reallocate some expenditure items. So with that, Mike Urban.
Thank you. Before you tonight is ordinance number 23-4, amending the 2023-2024 budget. Normally, staff performs these types of budget amendments at the end of the year unless it's directly related to a bargaining unit contract. But after talking this over with the Finance Director, Jeff Albrat, this is directly related to the tourism promotion contract that was recently passed by council. And these bars numbers, since they were at 0, we felt it was more appropriate to bring this now to council for budget amendments. So these two items are directly related to that agenda item last meeting. So we're asking for the amendment for the 2023 budget for $346,052 from 0, and the 2024 budget in this improvement to $385,188 from 0 to handle the tourism contract. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? If not, hear a motion.
Move to adopt ordinance number 23-4.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thad, do you want to read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 23-4, an ordinance amending ordinance number 22-25, adopted November 29, 2022, and entitled An Ordinance Adopting a Biennial Budget for the City of Pullman for the Biennium 2023 to -2024.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Council.
Item number 2 is an ordinance tonight amending the zone classification from R2 to C3 for real estate located in sections 2930 of the township is north. And before RJ does this, it's very clear that we do the appearance of fairness doctrine. So we're going to start with Megan, and then the next one we're going to be doing tonight, we'll start with Becky. So, Megan, you'll start it. Here we go. Does a member of this council have any knowledge of having conducted business with either the proponents or the opponents of this proceeding?
No.
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 Has any member of the council communicated with any of the proponents or opponents regarding the proposal that is subject to this proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council have either a financial or personal interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council know whether or not their employer has a financial interest in this matter or has an interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council live or own property within 300 feet of the area which is subject to this proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council have any special knowledge about the substance or merits of this proceeding, which would or could cause the council member to prejudge the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
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 Is there any member of the council who believes that he or she cannot sit and hear this matter fairly and impartially, both as the respective positions of the proponents and opponents of this proceeding?
No.
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 Is there any member of the audience who, because of the appearance of fairness doctrine, wishes to disqualify any member of the council from hearing this matter? And if so, please state the name of the council member and the reason or reasons why you believe that member should be disqualified because of the appearance of fairness doctrine. Seeing none, we will now continue. R.J. Lott has the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. This item before you on the agenda this evening is an ordinance for a rezone from it currently being zoned R2, low-density multifamily residential, to C3, general commercial. The property is on the south side of Albion Road, located west of Grand Avenue. The structure there on your map to the east is the VMRD facility. The current size of the proposed zone change is 12.5 acres approximately. The applicant and the property owner spoke in favor of the zone change at a public hearing before the Planning Commission on February 22nd. There was nobody in opposition or with neutral comments on this proposal. The proposal is identified by the applicant and the property owner to be used in the future as a recreational vehicle park. Are there any questions at this time?
Nathan.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. So with it being between R2 and R3, as the planning director, I mean, is that, I see it split, the C3s by industrial. Do you have, concerns regarding that, or no? Okay.
No, I think this is a good location for what the proponent wants to ultimately do here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not adjacent to any current residential developments, so the immediate impacts would be low. As part of the SEPA process, there is one mitigating measure that the perimeter of the property have a fence or site obscure vegetation so that headlights or noise or something similar would not encroach onto neighboring properties.
I appreciate your expert opinion.
Any other comments or questions? If not, do I hear a motion on this ordinance?
Move to adopt ordinance 23-5.
Second.
Moving second, Thad?
Ordinance number 23-5, an ordinance amending the zone classification from R-2 to C-3 for the real estate located in sections 29 and 30 of Township 15 North, Range 45 East, Albion Road west of Grand Avenue.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And now tied to that is a resolution. RJ.
Thank you, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is a resolution tied to the previous item, and this would change the comprehensive plan map from residential to commercial. Same area, same acreage. Any questions on this item?
Then do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thad?
Resolution number R-12-23, a resolution amending the official comprehensive plan map of the city of Pullman from low-density residential to commercial located in sections 29 and 30 of Township 15 North, Range 45 East, Albion Road west of Grand Avenue.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next comes item number 4 on the agenda tonight. It's an ordinance denying the proposal to amend the zone classification. And before we do that, we must have the appearance of fairness. So Becky, you get to start this time around. Does any member of this council have any knowledge of having conducted business with either the proponents or the opponents of this proceeding?
No.
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 Has any member of the council communicated with the proponent or opponent regarding the proposal that is subject to this proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council have either a financial or personal interest in the outcome of this proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council know whether or not their employer has a financial interest in this matter or has an interest in the outcomes of this proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council live or own property within 300 feet of the area which is subject to the proceeding?
No.
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 Does any member of this council have any special knowledge about the substance or merits of the proceeding, which would or could cause the council member to prejudge the outcome of the proceeding?
No.
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 Is there any member of the council who believes that he or she cannot sit and hear this matter fairly and impartially,
No.
both as to the respective positions of the proponents and the opponents of this proceeding?
Still not. No.
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 Be a double no then. Okay. Is there any member of the audience who, because of the appearance of fairness doctrine, wishes to disqualify any member of the council from hearing this matter? If so, please state the name of the council member and the reason or reasons why you believe the member should be disqualified because of the appearance of fairness doctrine. Seeing none, we will then proceed. R.J. Lott.
Thank you, Mayor, and once again, good evening, Council. This item before you on the agenda is another rezone application from C3 General Commercial to R4 High-Density Multifamily Residential. The location of this proposed zone change is almost due south of the hospital, part of the Palouse Business Center. The acreage in question here is approximately 14.5 acres. The Planning Commission did have a public hearing on February 22nd. There was an agent for the applicant and one other proponent of the zone change. There were 4 opponents that spoke that evening, and then no individuals there for neutral comments. Ultimately, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to deny this zone change, and the attached ordinance reflects a denial. So I want to make sure that the council is aware of what is in the attachment. The main reasons for the denial of the zone change, according to the Planning Commission, was the natural barrier of Bypass Drive as a split between the existing residential zones and the existing commercial zones, in addition to concerns raised by those who spoke that evening before the Planning Commission regarding traffic and the availability of water. Are there any questions of the council?
Megan, we'll go to you first, Megan.
So I'm probably going to take an unpopular stand here, and I'm going to vote against the denial of the zone change. I recognize the concern by folks in terms of increased traffic with the zone change, but I mean, it's currently zoned at commercial anyway. It did not take as a commercial zone, but if it had, there would be obviously traffic associated with that. And the main reason why I'm voting against it is I think we need more area for affordable, higher density housing. And this would allow for that. I know that, again, the concern is another apartment land and more traffic, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be apartments. And it allows for some creativity, working with developers who may have an interest in or providing these types of houses like townhomes, but houses that are affordable that families can get into and stay in Pullman and not leave the area but work here. So I think we have to start thinking like this, and so therefore I'm going to vote against the denial.
Nathan, I saw your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, you know, that's exactly how I feel on it. We've heard a lot about how we don't have affordable housing. The bypass, as far as I know, is not happening. I mean, there hasn't been any funding for it. And that area has been sitting vacant. It is closer to the hospital and at least closer to a shopping area. I don't see that traffic would be a major concern to me. Although I'm not on the commission, so maybe they have other information. So yeah, I think it's important to also look at housing. We need to provide more affordable, and that means more housing for families. So yeah, I appreciate what you said, Megan.
So Nathan mentioned a comment about traffic. Did you hear any of that in the Planning Commission?
Yeah, there were concerns that the infrastructure, the roadway, would be able to hold or be able to serve adequately a high-density residential development. Conversely, a C3 zone has commercial uses that could vary wildly in terms of traffic from a Walmart, which we see nearby, or a fast food restaurant, which would obviously have high traffic volumes. Low traffic volumes could be associated with like an accountant's office or a lawyer's office, which may be there as well. So to say that the difference in traffic is large would be difficult to make that conclusion because the use within a C3 zone can vary wildly.
Other comments? Francis?
From what I heard from the Planning Commission, there's, in reading, it's really an issue of non-conforming next to each other. Was there any, did you see any options from the Planning Commission if the developer had come with part of it, but not the whole package that they're doing? So would that have been something that the Planning Commission would have said, yes, we see that as conforming and would work? And I'm just asking because I understand the issue of affordable housing. At the same time, we have conforming one thing up against another and the impact it's going to have in that way. And so I'm just curious, did the planning commission just say this area here wasn't conforming at all, or it was just the size of the project that they were looking at?
Yeah, so great question. The only topic of conversation was what was included on the application.
Okay.
So there was no speculation if the property owner would be okay with an R3 or even R2, meaning lower densities. So the only thing that was discussed that evening was what the applicant requested in their zone change application.
Okay.
Do you have an idea how many feet between that and the Riverview Apartments, which is multifamily?
I could guess, but
Half a block, 2 blocks?
I'd say maybe a third of a mile, quarter of a mile.
Okay. Nathan, comment?
Yeah, thank you. Just to follow up on what Francis said. So with R4 being right across that road, that's considered non-conforming?
The existing R4?
Yeah.
On the east side of bypass?
Yeah.
That's legal conforming zoning. That's
So-
the current zoning.
So the planning just felt that it wasn't conforming to the C3 that was next to it, is that correct?
We may be talking different areas. So
Okay,
the dark brown
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the map is what is to be discussed this evening.
yes.
The R4 immediately to the east,
Yeah.
which is a zone change from the same applicant approximately a year ago.
Okay, yeah,
So that is existing and current.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're speaking
Okay,
the same
okay.
language. Okay, I was just wondering if it seems conforming to me, but yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Becky?
I saw that one of the opponents had a question about water availability there. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, there was an opponent to the zone change, and she spoke about her location in the vicinity that has low water pressure. And then that would be a deterrent to possible future residential development. And speaking with Public Works, they didn't appear to have any comments related to the availability or the pressure of water.
Ann?
Thank you. Related to that, didn't something come before us about constructing a water tower somewhere out in that area in the last year or so? No, I'm thinking of something else.
We did
Yeah.
roads up there. We were talking about the width of roads.
Okay, there was something going to build, anyway, okay, I'll follow up with Public Works, but that question did come to my mind when I was reading, so, thank you.
Okay, Francis?
As it follow up to the water piece, understanding is that it was the height of where the property would be on the land, and the feeling was that it was low enough that the pressure would be high enough, but I did not hear in the testimony any concerns about the volume that would be needed to provide. So the pressure isn't a volume issue, it's a height issue.
Yeah, so more specific, water would be looked at more closely once we had a site-specific proposal. With this zone change, the applicant chose not to provide what the future would hold if the zone were to be changed, unlike the previous zone change. So if the current or the future development had X number of units, we would review that, staff would review that to make sure that there was adequate water, among other things, including water pressure, if that answers your question. Okay.
Eileen?
Just so we make this nice and sparkling clear to anybody who might be listening, this is to retain the current zoning.
No, this is a zone change.
Will be to deny the zone change,
Deny the zone change request, correct.
which retains the current.
So
Correct.
since the wording,
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed
since
a
the wording is a
vowel
little
in there.
confusing, just like some of the different things our state legislature has come with that we've seen in initiatives, if you vote yes, you're denying. If you vote no, you're not denying.
Correct.
I just want to make sure it's very clear.
Right.
Okay. Pat?
Dumb question. Does this preclude any kind of mixed use?
No. So the planned unit development, which I brought forward 2 or 3 months ago, could really be used in any underlying zone, except maybe some industrial uses. But this would be a good location for such a development, a good mixture of perhaps some local commercial businesses, and then with residential on the same, or at the same location. So it would not preclude it at all.
And so then that would require a completely different rezone?
More or less, yes. So it would be, we haven't done one yet since we brought the ordinance to you 3 months ago, but it would be the same process as a planned residential development. So it would be an overlay, more or less, over the underlying zoning district.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want us to lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Dumb, but.
No, there's no dumb, no, okay. Eileen again.
Well, and this ancient history, going back to when this was annexed, and I believe I was on council at the time, but when this was annexed, I think, Pat, that was kind of the original intention. With this area, with the proximity to the hospital and to other things, this would be a place for doctor's offices
That's right.
and clinics, and that's my recollection. So that mixed use would be in keeping with that element from way back then.
Yeah.
And the hospital does have expansion up in that area, too.
I did discuss these options with the property owner, and if I recall our conversation correctly, the barrier to what he wanted to do here was with the current zoning, the first floor would have to be entirely commercial. And he didn't see that as, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but he didn't see that as being viable at this location.
And that's a requirement.
It is.
Okay. No, it's not, because we can't take testimony this time. Any other comments or questions? Okay, is there?
I have one last thing to add, Mayor, if I
Okay.
could. If the council does choose this evening for a zone change, the ordinance in your packet for this evening doesn't include findings or conclusions. So if that is the direction that the council wishes to go, I would just giving staff some time to put those together, and then we could have them perhaps as a consent agenda item for the following council meeting. Just ahead.
Okay. So, again, if you vote yes on this, you deny the proposal to amend the zone classification from C3 to R4, okay? If you vote no, then you're basically supporting the proposal, and they have to come back with the ordinance. Everybody somewhat clear? Okay. With that, Thad can read the ordinance, and then we'll go from there. Oh, first of all, let's get a motion on it. Do we have a motion on this ordinance? I'm not hearing that.
Move to adopt ordinance
Okay.
23-6.
So I've got a motion on this ordinance. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Now, Thad, you can read this.
Thank you. Ordinance number 23-6, an ordinance denying the proposal to amend the zone classification from C3 to R4 for the real estate herein described consisting of 14.62 acres located at lots 3 to 7 and 9 to 12, Block 2, Palouse Business Center, and Lot 1, Kevin Kirkman Legacy Short Plat.
Okay. Voting yes will deny. All those in favor of this particular ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
Nay.
Opposed?
matter carries. It is denied. Okay? Now comes a resolution. You can explain that one after what we just did.
Yes, Mayor, so a resolution obviously tied to the previous ordinance. This would change, or this would deny the change from commercial, high-density residential. Once again, if the council wanted to change it in favor of the change, then we'd have to come back with an appropriate resolution.
Any questions on this? So again, if you're voting yes, you're denying the proposal. Make sure it's very clear. Do I hear a motion on this resolution?
Move to adopt resolution number R-13-23.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Thad, would you read the resolution?
Resolution number R-13-23, a resolution denying the proposal to amend the official comprehensive plan map of the City of Pullman from commercial to high-density residential for the real estate herein described consisting of 14.62 acres located at Lot 3-7 and 9-12, Block 2, Palouse Business Center, and Lot 1, Kevin Kirkman Legacy Short Plat.
Again, all those in favor is denying. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Matter carries. It is denied. With that, we now move to item number 6 on the agenda tonight. This is a resolution authorizing the execution of a biosolids. I want to make sure with all the news stories, it says biosolids and not anything dealing with petroleum. Agreement between the City of Pullman and Norm Druffel and Sons Partnership for the purpose of land application of the city wastewater treatment plant biosolids. Clayton, our Deputy Public Works Director.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, City Council. The city's wastewater treatment plant produces 400 to about 700 tons of Class B biosolids each year. Those biosolids are a beneficial resource containing nutrient-rich organics. And each fall, during the month of September and October, these biosolids are hauled to local farm fields and land applied. The city's previous sites used for that land application are no longer available. Therefore, staff have been working to secure another location in advance of our spreading operation this fall, 2023. Norm Druffel and Sons, a local farm operation, responded to the city's advertisement used to solicit interest from local farmers. They were the only farmer to respond to that solicitation. Consequently, staff met with Norm Druffel and Sons, and it was determined that their farm operation could incorporate 100% of our biosolids each year using a series of different fields that they own. Consequently, a biosolids agreement was prepared defining the terms and conditions of that biosolids land application. That agreement is in final form and ready for council action tonight. The only financial component involves paying the farm $12,000 each season, and that's to rent one of their tractors so that we can spread the biosolids on the fields. In the event that the farmer's tractors are unavailable, maybe there's a breakdown, we would go ahead and rent a tractor, and that cost is comparable to that $12,000. Pending council approval of the agreement, staff will begin working on the necessary permitting for these new sites in preparation of spreading this fall. Staff recommends council approval of the biosolids agreement, and I would be glad to take any questions you might have.
Any questions, comments? If not, do I hear a motion on this?
Motion to approve resolution number R-14-23.
Second.
Moving second. Thad, you would read the resolution, please.
Resolution number R-14-23, a resolution authorizing the execution of a biosolids agreement between the City of Pullman and Norm Druffel and Sons, a general partnership for the purpose of land application of city wastewater treatment plant biosolids.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And with that, we also want to thank Norm
Thank you.
Druffel for the cooperation that he has given us and Sons, and to put the biosolids on that property. It's wonderful. Thank you. Item number 7 is a resolution accepting the Unifying Place brand concepts presented by Arnett Muldrow and Associates, authorizing the city administrator to implement unifying brand system, city, and Pullman tourism. Our economics development, Jennifer Heckman.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. Well, this item is being brought to you by the Strategic Tourism Work Group, which was established last July to implement the action items that are part of the Strategic Tourism Plan. I am a staff liaison to that work group, and I want to recognize the other members of that work group. We have Council Members Guido, is to unite efforts and to promote Pullman as a place to live and invest. And it is also meant to reinforce community pride. Earlier this year, consultants Arnett Muldrow presented their draft concepts to City Council and received really valuable feedback. So tonight, we're going to go through some of the revisions that were made, and we'll take a look at what that feedback kind of created there, and then I want to borrow a little bit of a term from engineering. I would say we're about 90% done. We're 90% there. So if you accept the resolution tonight, we'll be done. We will not be quite finished because we do have a few brands and logos that we have some city directors that are looking at, and possibly some elements and some assets that just probably continue to kind of be workshopped. And so I'll kind of walk through some of those as well. But with that, we can get into the presentation. So I want to just let you know that I did catch a few more revisions that I fixed in this presentation. Going PowerPoint to PDF, we lost a few things, so I apologize if there are any confusion. I'll try to catch those as we go. But let's get along here. Okay, so starting with the position statement, and I know that this has been mentioned before, but this is really intended to be a shared story, and it's intended to allow the city or the tourism agency to take pieces out of this for ads, campaigns, also maybe reciting some of it for videos. But again, this is an item that I feel could possibly be continuously workshopped once it's approved. So I'm not going to read this, I'm just going to walk through it. I'd ask Glenn to read it, but if you accept it, he might be doing that at a later date. But really, this position statement really focuses on the beauty of the area, our common culture, what we feel is attractive about the area, and a lot of that went into the development of the concepts. And so again, think of this as kind of a master script that would be available for videos or ads or other types of items. Moving on, this is the color palette that you've already seen, and no changes there. And again, the font that is recommended to us. So here we have some changes from what you'd seen before. One of the recommendations and requests was to make the logo less heavy. So there were adjustments to the line weights in the solid version. And then there was a request to add some movement. So the designer added a gradient version of the principal logo. So the recommendation from the consultants would be to use the solid version mostly because it's easier to apply in different circumstances, but to use and have available the gradient version for special situations, if that makes sense. So they would prep both of these and give us both of them. These would be the city versions of that, along with our slogan, which does not change, and the formal seal. Now, I know people have seen this before as well, but just to point out that there are some kind of hidden meanings in the logo development that are pretty cool once you know about them. So, you know, the sun rays kind of represent how our community goes out into the world. We have all of these students that come here, and we have innovation that happens here, and we see parts of Pullman and, you know, things that have happened in Pullman, things that have been developed in Pullman that reach out way beyond Pullman. And it is also a nod to our optimism. The crimson red was inspired by WSU. That is their color, and that represents the sun. So it's a very central location in the logo itself. Of course, we have the river and the fork in the Palouse, and we have 4 hills representing the 4 districts of Pullman. And then the green space in front of the river is really meant to be a nod to the numerous parks. And if you want to see trails in that, you can see trails in that. I see a railroad in that myself as well. So it's the kind of thing that gives itself to open interpretations. This would be a single color version. And let's talk about brand applications and expansions. This might be one of the areas where we might continue to tweak a little bit. I think the work group was pretty happy with the Sunnyside Hill and College Hill logos, but felt that with the right inspiration, we could see some additional changes to the Military Hill emblem and the Pioneer Hill emblem. And then just to walk through some of the work that's been done with our departments and units, a lot of these are really, really close. You know, we might just be tweaking one thing here or there before we get kind of the director sign off on these, but we've made a lot of strides. And we have choices when it comes to some of these as well. So some of these are still being a little bit workshopped, but the concepts are there. And so the business suite and templates that are recommended, these are new. Probably have not seen these, but this would just be, here's a newsletter option. And again, the different assets would come to us in an entire design portfolio. And then from there, you know, staff could take different pieces and develop other templates as well. So I want to just walk through some of the environmental graphics to remind folks of those. These are sample district banners, and the design kind of behind the logos is coming from the Hill design in the primary logo. That's kind of fun to have a kind of a fabric like that in the background. These, again, are the white wayfinding concepts. You've seen these before. A little bit of a before and after on some gateway signage. I do want to mention that, you know, after we had that initial council meeting where the draft concepts were presented, the next morning was an implementation meeting with agencies that deal with tourism and community agencies, and the call out kind of went to them after we'd seen the colors and seen some of the brand concepts, if any of those agencies would like our consultants to give their logos and their brands a makeover. And so all of these organizations signed up and said, yes, I'd love that. So I think that's refreshing to see that there's such an embrace of this idea that having kind of a unifying system would be good for everyone. And so we are workshopping those and working on those, but it's not just the logos, also events. Speaking of events, here are a couple that have been worked out. And those, again, are just examples. This would be the tourism, the main tourism brand, with some ad concepts, kind of using the slogan of, you know, let the flavors pull you in, let the music pull you in. Part of the plan with the design is that a lot of it would be open. So both our tourism partners, but also retailers would be able to take some of these logos and sell some merch. And maybe some folks would buy some T-shirts and ball caps and display their pride. So the next steps would be your decision. We're looking for your guidance on this. If you chose to accept the resolution, we would get to work with preparing the style guide and probably finalizing some of those other logos, and then that would be delivered to the city. And you'd be giving the city manager the ability to then take the next step and move to the next phase of implementation. So with that, I look forward to listening to your discussion. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Questions, comments? Nathan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I know this is going a ways back. Did the committee have a chance to look at current Pullman merchandise that's actually out there, that's sold local stores, 509, so on and so forth?
I know that there are some out there with different looks and feels. I don't recall that coming up in the work group agenda on its own as an item. So no, I don't think we did.
Okay. Some of it's pretty awesome. But that's going backwards, so I'll go forwards on this. I like the graded, the shading ones. Those were pretty awesome. I really appreciate how the committee has listened to a lot of different feedback. It looks less like an orange to me, so I appreciate that. And I'm growing on it. The thing I will say, and I don't know, I think my slide deck is different than the ones up there. I don't know why. The pull you in, it just really not. I just got to say, it just kind of sticks in the throat. Experience the natural pool. Maybe I need to say it more. Usually I'm used to a 3-word type of tag, type of thing. I understand the Pullman type of thing, clever. We also have, the Pullman Proud that has been used, and utilizing something that is already out there can help push the brand forward. I know I was on the group with 2040 when we came up with that, the hashtag Pullman Proud. Now I know it's totally different from the 2040. I'm just saying the experience, the natural pool kind of, and there's also some lingo that's current that discusses how do you pool type of thing that is not necessarily so positive. So that's kind of in the younger generation. It's younger than myself. So you may want to think about that. So I don't need to go into details about that, but you can look it up.
No, thank you. I appreciate that feedback. I did not include that slogan in Exhibit A, and I'm happy to take that feedback to the consultants. And at the end of the day, if there are pieces of that, for one reason or another, either now or in the future, that we decide against, we don't have to use them.
Eileen's next, and then we'll go to Ann.
Yeah, if Rob can help us out here. Rob, is my PowerPoint ready to go? Rob, are you with us? Yeah, here's just some things that I put together. Okay, there's our perspective in the gradient up there on the upper left. The one down below there, that's Pullman Community Montessori. And then that's a Palouse Handyman underneath that. And if I were either of those entities, I'd be a little disappointed. I would feel that this sort of poached on the work that they probably paid a lot of money for or put a lot of heart and soul into. The consultants told us that they looked at other logos in the community. Well, they certainly didn't look at these two, I don't feel. I thought that was pretty disappointing. And if, Rob, could you go to the next one, please? Again, we've got Pullman, we've got South Carolina Land Trust, which looks really, really, really similar to what we've got here. We've got Main Street, South Carolina, and 4 Main Street, South Carolina, both of which actually I like, but they're awfully, awfully similar to what the consultants brought to us. And Rob, could you go to the next one? We've got Pullman there, what we see. We've got Heflin, Alabama. Here we've got Starbursts all over the place. We've got Virginia there. And Terracotta, I know the folks at Terracotta weren't too happy to see this because they felt that sort of the Starburst thing was kind of theirs and that they were there first. Can we go to the next one, please? These are some others. If we want to keep on to that Starburst theme, we have Pullman with our official city logo as it's presented in our packet. We have some folks down in Texas with a Starburst, and we have some folks that also have a Starburst. And of course, we have Wenatchee that has a very, very similar Starburst. Now, I didn't just pick these out of the internet because they were similar. I picked these off the internet because these are all Arnett Muldrow. All of these were developed by Arnett Muldrow. I don't feel like we got a quality product. I feel like we got cut and paste from, and this breaks my heart because I really recommended this consultant. I had seen their work. Some of their work is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I had seen their work at a couple of different presentations. I'd met Tripp. I really supported us hiring these people, and I just don't think we got a quality product. I I mean, I just Googled them, and this was the stuff that popped up, and I went, oh, my stars, it's the same. And I'm just really disappointed in it, and I'm with Nathan on the Pullman pulls you in thing. I thought that was a little third grade. I thought that was a little lame. I mean, you can go around the map in Eastern Washington, and you can come up with all kinds of ones like Soap Lake. We're cleaning up our act. You know, Tico, stop and have tea in Tico. Loon Lake, not as crazy as it sounds. I mean, Pullman pull you in just doesn't. It's just juvenile. There's nothing there, and like you say, the younger generation has a few different things. But when you look at the totality of the work that we got and what I had expected, and when I see the similarities to the local logos, Montessori, our Pullman Plus handyman. Oh boy, I'm bitterly disappointed. I recommended these people and I believed in them, and I think we got ripped off.
Well, I'm going to respond to just a little bit of that. I'm just one member of the work group. I would offer that if there are some similarity to a few other logos in town, what I will say is that the consultants used as their inspiration a lot of comments that came from focus groups. We talked to a lot of people. They talked to a lot of people. And everyone talked about shared experiences being that the beauty and the scenic environment and surroundings. So the actual sun, actual hills were the inspiration. And I did talk to them about some of what you brought up, and they vigorously defend their work.
Okay, and you have the floor next.
Thank you. I guess first I would say I have seen this logo more and more. I think we're noticing it more because of our exposure and our education about our own logo. It is across the state, and I feel like it is the imagery and the design is what is contemporary within the industry. It's where logos and branding are going across, the board. So yes, I mean, yeah, it's similar, but if you look at the slide where they actually depict every single element and relate it to Pullman or the Palouse specifically, you cannot say that that is stolen from someplace else. Also, none of this imagery is trademarked. No one has a trademark on the sun or hills or railroad tracks. So I just think that we have to sort of move into this, this time and looking forward. My other comments are that I really like, and I said this before, I really like the way that the consultants made this unifying across all city entities and businesses and organizations. So anybody can, customize to what they want it for. The mono blue can be the school district, the mono green can be the hospital. And I really appreciate that they did such a broad expanse of use across our community, and that it includes our whole community. And I love that they delineated the hills and created an identity that each hill can embrace and take forward and take pride in. Thank you.
As they've always said, art's in the eyes of the beholder. And with that, I do like the font. Pullman, I like that font. Any other comments you'd like to make? Pat?
I would just like to commend Jennifer for the time and patience that she has exercised through this process. And she truly has been the liaison between the work group and Arnett Muldrow, and has translated back and forth issues just as we've kind of talked here tonight. And so she has just absolutely done a yeoman's job in pulling all of this together. So I thank you, Jen, as well as all of the members of the committee that worked through this over the last 8-9 months.
Thank you,
Any other
Councilmember Wright.
comments? And we have a resolution before you. You've heard some comments about things. Do I hear a motion on this resolution?
Move to adopt resolution number R-15-22.
Second.
We have that move and second. That, please.
Resolution number R-15-22, a resolution accepting the unifying place brand concepts presented by Arnett, Muldrow and Associates and authorizing the city administrator to implement a unifying brand system for the city of Pullman and for Pullman tourism.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
One no. That matter carries. We move on.
Thank you,
very
Council.
much, Jennifer. Discussion item tonight, talking about the town hall meetings for 2023 and the kind of format the council would like to pursue. With that, Mike Urban.
Thank you. So as part of the current city council goals and priorities, public town hall meetings, excuse me, were held the first week of October in 2022. And after those meetings, council had some thoughts and wanted to have some discussions and share information with each other over the what had happened at those meetings. And staff's looking for some information too on how to begin plans forward for possible 2023 meetings. So this discussion item is for getting some of that direction and letting council discuss as we had promised before the end of the first quarter of this year. So I'll turn it over to council for feedback.
Discussion on how you liked the format this last time, and would you like to continue that way? Nathan, you looked like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I thought thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I thought the town halls were, yeah, I think they went really well. I like the fact that we had some more face-to-face with the community, with citizens who could bring concerns in a less formal atmosphere. I will say that I think the first two meetings got a lot of people because they felt, regardless of ward, and I think this is also something for us to think about, regardless of ward, they wanted to bring concerns and they wanted to bring questions. Splitting it into wards, many people don't know what ward they are in. And I think, I still feel that it's important to have the ward system. I'm not saying anything against that, but what I am saying is majority of people came to the first two, I believe. And then after that, or maybe it was the first one, but after that, we had less. I still feel it's important to do the town halls. I think one other thing we can do in the future, I don't know if it's possible, we were so far away from our fellow citizens, the people we represent. And so it felt like, you know, I mean, we're on the dais here, but it felt like we were so disjointed from that. And I'd like to be able to be closer so that we can be able to have that feeling of connection. So.
And that can be solved by not recording the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, next comment first.
Related to it, I think there's a lot of community members felt they had to come out every night to talk. And I know part of it is staffing and part of it was recording. It'd be nice if all of them happened on the same night at the same time. So the community members could go to their ward or, but I also, you know, some community members want to go to everything. But I don't, but it'd be nice, I think, to try to do it. It's one time that we're doing this, and I know the challenge was, and I think still is the video and staff coverage to do multiples at the same time. So that's just my thought. It'd be nice to have them all coincide at the same time.
Sure, and I think I can, on staff standpoint, because there were several of us at all three of them, the video will remain a challenge simultaneously, no question, but I have a confidence in our staff that we can spread ourselves around to different sites, and if there's a question or two that we can't answer that night, we can certainly get back on that. Staff's really adept at being up on these things.
Okay.
You gonna be brave enough to call on me again?
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I really like the concept of it. I got a lot of good feedback from the community, and one of the ideas that bubbled up is to maybe have the meeting, as we've expressed here, and then have breakouts. So have initial meeting of 40, 45 minutes perhaps, and maybe breeze down through some hot topics, 5 or 6, please no more than that. And then maybe either break out by ward or maybe break out by topic. And especially by breaking out, I think, by topic, then we can capture detailed comments from individuals, because that's often where some really good ideas bubble up out there. So that was just one thing that community members brought to me, that a breakout session format we might just get that much more information and communication with our people.
Ann?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, because my thought is, and I was, a lot of people said to me, you know, why did it have to be three different, why did we have to separate into wards and 3 separate nights? So I would like to say, kind of agree with what Eileen is saying, is can we have an open town hall with all of us for 45 minutes? No topic, let the public bring the topic to us that they want to talk about. We introduce ourselves and we go. That would be very important. Then we can break out into specific topics, you know, either based on what people say or taking some feedback beforehand. What would you like, you know, to talk about, break out, something like that. But I do think it's very important that we don't do a lot of the talking, that our residents do the talking, and then we can respond.
Can I go back? I want to answer that, but I think I want to circle back to Francis's topic, and maybe I misunderstood. I think you just talked about maybe just doing a council meeting as a town hall with everybody at once, and I think you were referring to simultaneous ones within each person's ward on the same night.
I'm happy simultaneous where we're all together.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have to be separated out.
Sure.
But I would say for the community, does the community feel more comfortable coming when there's a couple of us here, or when
Right,
all
that's
7
true.
of us are here? And so,
That's a good point.
the
Now I'm pulled in.
perspective, so it's more what's going to draw our community to want to come and talk to us.
Yeah.
Automatically does that separation regardless of whether it's 2 or 3 or 7. So,
I was just thinking about it from the advertising of an open public meeting, since more than 3. So that's where I went,
Right,
and that's no
right.
problem.
That's
We
right.
We can get it out.
We can
yeah.
advertise that,
Yeah.
that's easy.
sorry.
Okay, Becky?
I like that. The only thing I would say is I would like us to be broken out by ward rather than topic, just because I don't know how we divide up over topic. Do you know what I mean? Like which council members go to what topic? It might be a really interesting time to do a little education, to put up a ward map with some street names on it, just let folks figure out which ward they're in and come meet your council reps. That might be a nice time to do it. And if we all end up happening to talk about the same topics, I think that would be that would be information.
And the electronic newsletter, you can actually click onto that. He's got that all set up with the website. So we can actually have an active computer here. What ward are you in? You can punch it right in and find out where to go.
It'd be difficult too, I think, split us up by topic, just because who's gonna,
Right.
who's gonna take which topic.
point.
And so you are able to address that maybe a little bit
It would be
better
great if you
with
guys had
wards.
individual meetings, just what wards, then come together at the end, and maybe the same topic came up with all different wards. Now you can at least tell that you got a really hot topic going on. Of course, they also could have been coordinated too. Yeah. I will say that the town hall meetings really reaped all kinds of volunteers who wanted to go on the commission. And that was really a positive outlook. We had more applications this time around because I believe the halls had a major difference on that, so thank you.
Well, and I will say kudos to Francis on that, because you were in that first group, that first town hall meeting, and was a question from someone that came saying, I want to get involved, but I don't know, I don't know how to do it. And Francis was like, figure out what your passion is, and then work toward that. And I think for a lot of people, that was kind of an aha moment of, oh, okay, I can do that. So, good job.
Do you have enough comments then?
Based on what I'm hearing tonight, I'd like to make a suggestion, if it pleases the council. A lot of discussion now that you've had amongst yourselves that didn't happen before. Can I come back at the next council meeting with a follow-up to this to just give you a chance to digest everything that everybody heard, and then maybe we can get some direction off of that, because there's a lot of really great ideas, but can't do all of them at once. So, and then that along with some considered dates. So just a chance to breathe, think about everything for the next 2 weeks, and then just another short discussion at the next council meeting.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. It's a lot coming out. I will say thinking about it as people were talking, I did enjoy it being videotaped, because for me, I went and watched each of the other, meetings so that I could hear what was being said by citizens, doesn't matter where they were. And then I could also come and say, okay, these were some of the topics that were brought up. I did think that was valuable. I just don't know how to remove this barrier so that we can be there, with people, because I think that, But yeah, I just wanted to point that out.
And I agree, and I understand what you're saying, and I think coming back off to this discussion at the next meeting and getting a more focused answer, then I can take, okay, what do we have here? And then maybe work with some of our partners as to how do we accommodate all of this. Now we know what it looked like. Talk to WSU with their program up there. So there's some ideas out there that I'm already starting to generate. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any new business to come before the council tonight? Seeing none, then at this time, City Council will adjourn to an executive session pursuant to, and we have a number of different things. One, to consider the minimum price at which real estate will be offered for sale or lease when public knowledge regarding such consideration would cause a likelihood of decrease, provided price or in final action. Also, to review negotiations, perform a publicly bid contract when public knowledge regarding such consideration would cause a likelihood of increased costs. To discuss with legal counsel representing the city relating to agency enforcement actions, or discuss legal counsel the agency potential litigation that has been specifically threatened, to which the agency governing body or a member acting as the official capacity is or is likely to become party, or litigation the agency reasonably believes may be commenced by or against the agency, the governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity, or litigation or legal risk of a proposed action or current practice the agency has been identified when public discussion of the litigation or legal risks is likely to be resulted in the adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. The executive session is expected to last 15 minutes. If it takes longer than that, we will announce it after that 15 minutes, and the council may possibly take action following executive session. So it is 8:46 right now. Council needs, what, 5 minutes? Okay. So at 8:51, it's going to be 8:46. So we'll let it hit that, and we'll have 5 minutes on that. So with that, at 52, we will have our executive session and go for 15 minutes. Tell me when you're ready. Council's extended 5 more minutes. We're at 9:07. We'll go to 9:12. Nine 12, we're extending another 5 minutes to 9:17. Council now is reconvened after executive session, properly notified in terms of time. And at this point, Eileen McCall, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. The council has consulted with staff about the future of our downtown project. And after looking at a lot of different things and listening to our community especially, the council has determined that it is going to be best, and I will be making a motion, to make a major adjustment in the calendar and work with Welsh Comer to come up with a new set of dates and a new timeline that better reflects what is necessary for our community at this time. Welsh Comer is going to be on board with us and is going to stick with us through thick and thin, as it were, and we're hoping that this will be a more positive outcome than what would happen if we were to stick with the current timeline. So, Council, I make a motion that we make a major adjustment to the calendar working with Welsh Comer and our city staff and the Department of Transportation as needed. And we will also be suspending the activities of some of the working groups, and that would include the steering committee. We are suspending that activity for now, and when we need to go forward, we shall.
Do I hear a second to that motion?
Dates. So to go out to bid.
Go out to bid
Fall.
in the fall, this fall, for commencing work in April of 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. With that, do I hear a motion to adjourn the council meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Council is adjourned at 9:19.